So I am here with Josh Higgins. I'm thrilled to welcome you to our first industry community leader conversation. Josh and I met back when we worked together at Facebook years ago. And Josh, you've gone on to do incredible things in your career, from Chief Creative Officer at Meta's Reality Labs to VP of Brand and Creative at CoreWeave to Atlassian, so many things. I'm so thrilled to have you here today and just wanted to give you a chance to talk more about your path.
Right on. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I joined Adobe 6 months ago and I lead the community engagement marketing team for Creative Cloud. And one of the really fun things I get to do is reconnect and learn more about creatives at all phases of their career, whether they're in school and they're looking for internships, whether they are graduating from art school and they're figuring out what I want to do, like what to do about like how to create content and build a career out of their style, or if they're working in-house at a big company. And I was just reflecting when I joined this company about all of the special people I've been able to work with, and you're one of those.
Thank you.
You're one of my first calls when I thought, hey, part of my job is like connecting with the creator community. Like I feel so lucky that I just have such incredible people in my life, like personally and professionally, who've just accomplished so much and also are so humble and like, sure, I'll help out. So we had this idea to build out a creative industry leader conversation.
It's great.
And going back, I remember that like when we met at Meta, like it was like 20, I don't know, it was like 2012, 2013. It was in the early days,
13.
2013. Those were the crazy days.
Yes.
And you were working with Becca and you're building out design for at the time it was like everything.
Yeah.
It was show wash.
Included.
Yeah, everything like the Facebook, Instagram, and then like later on you went on to be the global chief creative officer for Reality Labs. Um, Incredible. And then went on and on to just do such incredible work. And I remember when we were in the hallways, you would sometimes do like lunch and learns.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember
I
this.
do.
You do.
I
And I
do.
was like, we're, like, sweating because we're launching so many products, it's so stressful, and, like, Josh Higgins is, like, spending his time both sweating it out and getting all the work done, but then also doing talks. No, with not just designers, but anybody at Facebook who was interested in learning more about, like, how you were about Obama's design director and
Mhm.
how, like, your stories there, and so I just thought, Josh is gonna be my first call.
It's awesome.
So
Yeah.
thank you for joining.
No, thank you. A lot of that came from, I don't know if you remember, I oversaw the Analog Research Lab
Yes,
too,
yes, tell me a
as
little bit
well the
about that.
Artist in
Yes,
Residence
yes.
program.
Share more.
A lot of that came, a lot of the impetus to share more came from just the ethos that Ben and Everett set
Thanking and
in
their
the ARL,
yes.
the Analog Research Lab. It was about sort of, building community within, at that time, Facebook slash Meta. And so, um, I was still new and I was like, wow, this is really cool. A huge company like this. I mean, it wasn't as huge as it became, but at that time it felt huge.
I think was it like 5,000?
It was
3,000?
3,500
Yes,
when you and I met.
yes, 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 and then like 40,000,
Yeah.
50,000.
When
Yeah.
I left, it was 87,000. Yeah, so it was really crazy. But yeah, I was really struck by the openness to build
It's
community.
very special.
And so, yeah, I wanted to contribute to that. So anyway, that's where it came from.
Oh, that's amazing. So I wanted to just like chat with you more about your career, like how you've thought about your career, what steps you took, because a lot of the folks that I talk to these days and that my teams talk to in the community
Mhm.
are they're navigating a range of uncertainty right now,
Yep.
thinking about thinking about like how they know creativity is important, and also there's a range of disruptive technologies and how to thread the needle and how um, how to take this job with this company or this firm or this side hustle or
Mm.
build my own brand. And so I wanted to just learn more about how you thought about your career through all the stages.
Yeah. Um, I think I'll start. Um, actually when I went back to design school,
Yeah.
because I think it's sort of, really shaped how I thought about my career, even till today. And so, um, as you know, I was a musician prior to
Yes.
coming in.
And tell me more about that. That's so
Okay,
fun.
okay, yeah. So, um, yeah, well, I call it my first career.
Mm.
And so I played music professionally, from about 1990 through, 2002.
Wow.
And so,
Yeah.
during that time, I've been playing music since I was in middle school, but I actually made a living at it during those years. And it taught me a lot, about just business, and really having to hustle at that time. There was no internet at that time, so everything was very analog. So it taught me how to hustle and get gigs and things like that. And then we ended up signing, a major label record deal with MCA
Congratulations.
Universal. Yeah, which was, a dream for all of us.
That's amazing.
But,
And tell me the name of your.
it was called Fluff, F-L-U-F, yes. And, yeah, we did 7 albums, on MCA Universal. We toured, for, a good decade of that
That's
time.
incredible.
We played the first, 5 Vans Warped Tours, and I think that would be a whole other,
That's a
like,
whole other. I
conversation
know
for
that's a
us.
whole other story.
Yeah, but I really started to get burnt out,
Mhm.
on traveling a lot, and, um and so I was thinking about what was next. I went back to design school. Someone actually said to me, "I think you would be a great designer." And I asked them, "Well, what's design?" And they said, "Well, remember those flyers you used to make for your band's shows?
Yes.
That's design." I was like, "No way.
That's
Really? Is that what that is? You can make a living at that?" And they said, "Well, not exactly." Um, Um, and so I went back to school, and I think why I wanted to start here is because during that time, the first professor I met, she was very active in social causes,
Mm,
and she was always, really encouraging us to get involved in our community,
love that.
and how design has the power for change. And she gave us quite a few opportunities to do that, while in school. She started something, this was in San Diego, and it was called the Urban Art Trail. And it was where designers and artists would, be assigned by the city an electrical box, and you could design that electrical box
I have those
however
in
you
Ko
wanted.
Chau. I've seen some beautiful
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah, and it spread.
Yeah.
It spread throughout, California. And so that was like
Mm.
one of the first things, I did. And then, she was, asking for folks to help raise money for scholarships
Yeah.
during my time there, and so I got involved in putting with my background in music, I put on a
Mm.
concert
I love that.
and, got the bands organized and, made the poster for
I
it
love
and that kinda thing, and raised money for scholarships. And so, you know, being being really connected to community and a broader community of humanity has always been really important to me since that time, and using design to do that,
Love
has been, yeah, it's been part of my practice, since then, and I still do that today.
I love that.
In fact, and, we can talk about this more if you'd like, but, I started, several different, charitable projects centered around design for both Hurricane Katrina, for the Haiti earthquake, for fires in,
Wow.
San Diego and LA counties, and most recently started another project for the fires that were in LA last year.
Amazing.
And again, all the proceeds are always donated to help
Love
the
that.
victims of those.
I love it. How do you, like, what's your process for deciding, "Hey, like, I really wanna do something about this."
Yeah.
And then starting that project and getting a community involved and excited and raising money and kind of feeling that connection between how design can really make the world a better place.
Yeah. I think, there's so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And so I think the way I look at it is the ones that really speak to me.
Mhm.
So a few things that are really important to me are, well, the human condition. And so natural disasters are something
Mm.
that are something that I gravitate towards. Women's rights is another thing that I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And it was actually one of the reasons um, why I went to work for President Obama.
Mm.
Not only did they ask, but I think, obviously you're not going to say no to that ask, but I think everyone that I found, and we can get into this too, but
Yeah.
everyone I found on the campaign had a reason for being there, whether it was LGBTQ rights
Yes.
or
Yes.
whether it was women's rights.
Yeah.
Everyone had a reason for being there. Um, but I usually look for those things that speak to me first,
Mhm.
and then I think about how I can best be involved,
Yes.
or best contribute, I should say. And so, um, some most of it is I'll either think about the project, and what's the biggest need is always money,
Yep.
and is the most easiest way to, for me at least, to contribute. And so it's, then I go out and organize artists to help,
Cool.
or just do it myself,
Yep.
and donate my own art.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so cool. You touched on working for Obama.
Mhm.
Um, Share the story of how design supporting causes led to Obama asking you to work on his campaign.
Yeah. So, um, I've al at the each one of the end of the one of those projects. So, for the, Haiti earthquake project, for example, the way that worked is I would come home from work, and I would have all these artists send me their work. I would put those pieces of work up on a website. I would
Mm.
sell them, ship them all myself,
Wow.
and then donate the money
Yeah.
to a cause. That would put me going to bed sometimes at 2 in the morning after
Totally.
I got done,
Yes.
and so I was always like, "God, I wish I could do this for a living. It would be so great."
Mm.
Actually, one of the posters that I created, put me on the Obama administration's radar.
Mm.
And how that worked was I created, Shepard Fairey at the time was asking friends and others to
Mm.
create posters in support of President Obama. And I partnered with, a a Latino illustrator named Rafael Lopez,
Mm.
and we created, a poster for Obama in Spanish because we were both
Cool.
in San Diego,
Yeah.
border state. Um, and the Obama, not administration, the Obama camp saw our poster and asked us to license it along with,
Mm.
Shepherd's Hope poster and other posters. And, so that's how I got on their radar. So 4 years after, so that was for 2008.
Mhm.
4 years later, one of the, folks that was part of putting that together remembered that poster and said, "Hey, we
Wow.
should call that guy and see if
Wow.
he's interested."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's how they found out about me. And so
Yeah.
it also really sort of cemented in my mind that, oftentimes when I've done these projects, whether it was a poster in support of Obama or in support of Hurricane Katrina, um, the effort has led to something much bigger than I ever expected.
Mm.
And, not to get too spiritual on you, but,
Please.
I think there's something in that. I think
Mhm.
there's something in when you just give purely to something and
Me
put
too.
something,
Yeah.
it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe in karma, and I believe that it took me some time, but I really believe that when one, gives with an open heart, with, like, no expectation of anything in return and just puts it out into the universe,
Yeah.
it's, like, received with love, and somehow it comes back. I
100%.
don't know how,
Me either.
but I'm just like, "Joy,
But I
let's
have
just
so
spread it."
much evidence of it. There's so much evidence, not only personally, but,
Mm.
out in the world, there's a lot of evidence of it.
Mm.
So there is something to it.
There's something to it. So when you were making these posters and you were selling them, where did you put them? How did it get on the radar of the Obama camp?
So I would build oftentimes I'd either build a website to sell them or I would partner. I had a friend that was doing
Mm,
merchandising at the time
yes.
for bands. And
Cool.
so he would help me,
Yeah.
merchandise some of the so it was, it was sort of one of those things where however I could do it,
Yes.
and get it done. Um, but so a couple of the posters ended up in magazines,
Mhm.
featured in design magazines, and
Yeah.
so then it
Yeah.
spread that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
I hear so many themes as you tell your story, both the theme around, and I'm just thinking about for creatives that are in earlier stages in their career, there are a couple things that pop out to me.
Yeah.
One is more around um, following your passion in terms of things where like places where you just want to give your gift that only you can give to the world and like
100%.
just doing it pure of heart, putting it out into the world. I'm also hearing aspects of community as well.
Yes.
Tell me more about the creative community that you've been a part of, led, built over time, as it's probably spanned many different facets of your life, from the music, from the design, from I don't know, from ranges like pop culture,
Yeah.
companies, and also we didn't, we haven't gone deeply into your very significant roles as chief creative officer, is ECD, like in these big companies, all those things. Like it's your community and your perspective is so yeah, is so diverse.
Yeah. Um I think one of the things about community is, mentorship, I think,
Hmm.
and, I think probably some of the people that, I consider mentors never considered themselves a mentor to me, but
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot from them, and I think that's a big part of community too. I don't think it has to be this mentor-mentee relationship necessarily, but I
Right.
think, one of my first design jobs, I remember, it was a firm that I'd always wanted to work for, and I tried to get in there for like a good 2 years and finally
Hmm.
got a shot, and I got in. I
Yeah.
was so excited, and I was sitting at the desk one time, and I had my headphones on working, and the owner came up and tapped me on the shoulder and said asked me to take off the headphones, and he said, "Yeah, we don't allow headphones here when we
Oh.
work," and I was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask why?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Because I think that you learn when
Mm.
even if you're not a part of the conversation, when you
Mhm.
hear things that are going on, you're
True.
learning," and at the
Mhm.
time, I was a little frustrated with that
Yeah.
because I was, earlier in my career and I didn't really care about that much.
Yeah.
Um, but I really realized, like, even months after that happened, I
Mhm.
realized, like, how much I was learning by not,
Yes.
like, um, just silencing that out, and,
Mm.
so I think we can really learn from others and be when you're part of even a small community of 50 people like
Mhm.
that, um but, yeah, so I sort of how I think about, how I think about, sort of for younger folks or people starting off in their
Yep.
career, I think, really don't just focus on your task at hand, but really,
Mhm.
like, what can you learn from the people around you and just being
Mhm.
really open and aware
Yeah.
of it all, and
Yeah.
I think that was something that, after that day that I've really thought about a lot,
Mm.
and just really, really being curious about, other
Mm.
parts of, design.
Mm.
It's there's the act of designing, and but I also think another important part of it is, like, the people around you, the context,
Yeah.
um, the business context of what you're designing
Right.
for, so
Absolutely. Any advice you would give to somebody who's maybe midway through their career and um, thinking about the future of creativity, the future of design, like how do they position themselves to really thrive
Mhm,
in a world where there's just so much technology and there's human artistry and then there's what people are starting to use AI for and how to
mhm.
make AI work for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really interesting time right now, because of AI, and I think it's, you know, uh, obviously there's divided, um, thoughts on this,
Yeah.
but my thought is, I see it as like a really new and powerful tool,
Mm.
and I don't, I'm of an age where I was around when, digital cameras came out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so
Yep. Me too.
I remember I had friends that were photographers, and that's
Yeah.
how they made their living, and they were so up in arms about digital photography. It's gonna ruin our industry. Now everyone's gonna be a photographer. Cut to today,
Yep.
none of that happened.
Mm.
Everyone can be a photographer, sure, but only it's still the ones that are trained and have a good eye and have a unique perspective. They're the ones still thriving,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know? And so we look back at that, it was just another tool,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And so I see AI as another tool. And so I guess to answer your question directly, learn about this technology.
Yeah.
How can you use it in your practice,
Yeah.
whatever that is?
Yep.
Um, there's, different types of design. There's production design,
Yeah.
there's, brand design. And so how can this tool be incorporated into your practice?
Yeah.
And there's so many ways.
Yes.
There's so many ways. There's things that can help you to ideate, get ideas,
Mhm.
to comp.
Mhm.
So the person that you're showing it to has a better idea of your vision.
Yep.
There's just so many different ways that it could be a tool to help you in your process. And so that's probably what I would say is really
Yeah.
learn about that, not just that technology, but all the
Yeah.
technologies available to you um, to be able to, help you in your
Yeah.
practice.
Figure out how to harness it.
Yeah.
A few years ago, as a marketer, I was also looking at how AI has been changing the industry for marketers, and um, I, s- I spent some time going down a rabbit hole in a really good way, just learning more about yeah different AI tools that you can use as a consumer, as a business, as a marketer, giving feedback to companies, to small companies that are
Mhm.
um, innovating in AI, where they may know the technology, they may know the models, and they're trying to figure out like what's the right product for marketers,
Mhm.
and just actually sharing a perspective on where I think it's most helpful.
Mhm.
Where a lot of folks are figuring out, okay, how do we create more better content? I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of people doing that, but can you please help me with this problem that we always have
Yes.
in big marketing organizations? Like, how can we analyze the data faster? We never have an analyst. Like, we never have that support that we need,
Yeah.
or enough of it. Or how do you match customer insights? How do you actually look through a lot of data for key customer insights that you can turn into a marketing strategy around who you go after and the message, and then execute against all the channels?
Mhm.
Because these are the places where, as a marketer, we're always wanting, we're always wanting that help, and it's the strategy that
Yeah.
makes all of the execution more impactful. And I just found that to be just a super fascinating journey because it was like me testing stuff and me trying to find who else is interested in learning and like seeking out people who also are nerding out on this, who also have that mixture of expertise in the workflow and the job to be done, as well as are learning about the new technology, and people who are building the new technology, but like don't really understand the workflows and trying to figure out, you know, um, what actually would be useful to me.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting what you're saying is because I think no matter what discipline you're in within marketing, whether it's design or a marketer, we're all kind of in the same boat
Totally.
trying to figure this out.
Yes.
You know what I
Business
mean? I think
business
it's
analysts,
a really extraordinary
strategy.
time
Yes.
that we're all like, there's no one that's like, I got this. No,
Yeah.
I know
Check.
exactly. Yeah. There's no one checking the box. We're all trying to figure it out. And I think that's interesting in itself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, totally. So switching gears a little bit from your role leading large teams, creative and brand teams, do you have any, advice or guidance to folks who are either currently, working on teams
Mhm.
like those that you run, or wanting to get jobs or internships in these big organizations, in terms of what types of skills are most relevant, or ways to like refine your craft or to build community, or other tips for
Mhm.
building that career.
I think, I do. It might seem very simple, um, but I think, really, and especially in the age of AI and others, ideas are
Mhm.
really, John Maeda, said this, to me and others, but the one thing AI will never have is taste.
Mm.
And so, I think about that in taste and ideas, right?
Yeah.
It can, these tools can help you, maybe get to ideas faster,
Yeah.
but it's actually up to the individual, a human,
Yeah.
to choose what idea is
Yeah.
right for the audience and
Yeah.
things like that. So I really think like being able is like developing like a strong sense of concept and
Mhm.
how to develop ideas that connect with business
Mhm.
strategy is like really, really important.
Yes, so critical. How do you do that? I mean, yes, do
Yeah.
tell.
I think there's several ways. Again, I did it by really observing
Mm.
and in my environment, whether it was a small agency or when I went on to work at bigger places. But really watching how the business ran
Mm.
and watching people that were better than me and sort of how they approached,
Mhm.
uh, developing the ideas, and then sort of then from there, I developed my own sort of
Mhm.
approach, and I think it changes depending on the project really,
Yep.
you know? But I think it's really for me, it's taking in all the different facets of whatever the challenge is, and then, you know, one of the things, that I do like about getting older, is I come to a way to approach it a lot faster now
Yeah.
because 'cause I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I've seen this before."
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, but I think really, I would say developing that skill around ideas and ideation,
Mhm.
I think,
Mhm.
continue to, because that I think no matter where you are in your career,
Yeah.
that will always be
Yeah.
the thing.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to realize this too, is, for much of my career, well, a good part of my career, at least half, I always thought everyone thought like me.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I realized, wow,
Yeah.
creative folks and marketers think a lot different. And that's why
Mhm.
we do the jobs that we do, and that we're
Yes.
hired to do
Yeah.
those jobs because we
Yes.
just think about things differently.
Mm.
Um, and I think remembering that is
Yes.
important.
This is one of the key pieces of advice I've tried to keep in mind, um, probably the last like, 5-ish years of my career. So this is like, it took me a while to learn this lesson that
Yeah.
not everybody thinks the way I do, and that's like actually an asset. This is
Yes.
why I'm brought in to bring the customer perspective
Absolutely.
um, in house, or deep understanding of social media and communities is
Mhm.
not something that everyone knows, and that's a really valuable asset to bring
Yeah.
um, to humanize a brand and a company, and change how a company change how a brand interacts with its customers. And sometimes it can feel a little bit lonely.
Yeah.
I'll share it, and I realize, oh, it's not because I'm wrong. It's because this is the change and the benefit that I'm bringing
Mhm.
to a new environment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I sometimes I'm like, how did you not figure that out sooner?
I know. I wish I had figured that out. Like, I don't know, maybe like during college or right after, because maybe my whole career I'd be like, yes, I'm totally right.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
have been
Maybe that
absolutely
was
right.
good too, now that you said that. Maybe it was good.
It's like learn along the way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So we chatted a little bit last time about quality versus quantity,
Mm,
and you talked about taste and about creative ideas.
yeah.
Oftentimes when when I'm thinking about when I'm working with creative teams and we're figure out how do we communicate to this concept to the world. We're both balancing this, having an insights-driven idea that we can bring to life through communications, oftentimes online, some in person, some offline,
Mhm.
that require, like, a high quantity of yeah, it's just a high quantity of content in a way. How do you think about balancing quality versus quantity
Yeah.
as you're leading these teams?
I think, I often think about it as, I think throughout my career, it's always been the challenge,
Always,
always.
always.
And now it's, not only that, but it's also faster.
Yes, so much faster, and expectations to be
Yeah,
cheaper?
exactly. Yeah.
Like
And
how? Faster,
yeah.
cheaper, higher quality.
Yeah, yeah. Usually you only get 2. I think that
Right.
yeah. Uh, but I think about it, a few different ways. And again, it goes back to like what is the project?
Yeah.
I think, I always think about quality first.
Mhm.
And then, um, it will be sort of, okay, what parts of the process can we accelerate, but still keep the quality high?
Yeah.
And so again, that's another place where AI can come in and really help
Yeah.
accelerate some parts of the process.
Mm.
But I would say I always strive for quality.
Yeah.
I think that's always going to be the differentiator.
Yeah.
Um, I really think about, where can we, maybe shave off some time for the
Mhm.
speed part,
Yep.
without cutting corners where impacts quality.
And then how do you think about quality? How would you describe that?
Again, that's a very subjective.
Yeah. It's like taste.
It's a very subjective question. It's another thing I realized that, I personally get hired for because someone, like, likes my taste
Yes.
and my
A unique style.
yeah, and so, that was also something that, took me a while to realize.
Mm.
Um, but I have, in my mind, I think I know what, what qualifies as really great
Yeah.
quality, and um, I think I know that because of some of the assets and things that I produced in the past,
Mhm.
um, and I'm like, "Okay, that is good."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, as you sort of, there's failures too, you're like, "Okay,
Mhm.
we'll
Mhm.
avoid that next time."
Mhm.
And so, I think that's helped me understand where my quality bar is, honestly.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and, um, and so seeing some of the things that have been more successful, I'm like, okay, remembering what it took to get to those things and who were the people involved in that and what were their approaches. And,
Mhm.
um, so I think that's sort of, how, how I think about quality for
Yeah.
myself is,
Yeah.
and it also, this is probably not helpful to anyone listening, but, I have a feeling inside. I
Yeah.
know when I hit something that's
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
and I know when something is, like, not good,
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
sometimes there's things that go out, because of deadlines and things, and I'm like, "Oh, that could have been better."
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and oftentimes I'll, hear feedback, "Oh, that was great." And I'm like, it could have been better,"
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I also think that's also, I think, a lot of marketers and creatives have that,
Yes.
sense of just it's never good enough.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
think that's also healthy.
Yeah, also
It can be healthy as long as you don't let it,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I love that.
affect your mental health.
Yeah, true. True, true. Was there anything else you wanted to share today? Like things that advice you wanted to share as thoughts?
Yeah, I do.
Culture is an interesting themes.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I was thinking about last night was, yeah, just how pop culture plays
Yes.
within our industry. Recently, I've been going through looking at, developing campaign and,
Yeah.
whether to work with work with a celebrity, not work with
Yes,
a
yes,
celebrity.
yes. Common challenge. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about that?
And so I just, I think it could be, I think it could be really helpful when that talent aligns
Yep.
with not only the goals of the project, but also the brand.
Totally.
I
Brand
don't,
alignment.
there's been just so many times I've been watching, you know, watching a television commercial and being like, how did they come up with choosing that
It's like, why is this
celebrity?
person here?
Why is that person, they don't align to anything
Yeah.
that I know about that brand.
Yeah.
It's almost a negative, really, for
Mhm.
at least for me. And sometimes I have to think about, is that because you're a marketer and because this is,
Mhm.
do other people experience this as well? Like, are they like, wait, what? You know?
I wonder if there's also an aspect of also influencer marketing, creator marketing, really big, yeah, really big industry. And there are brands that oftentimes will work with an influencer or, big creator to expand the relevance of their brand to a new audience. So oftentimes that's the pull, but then that new audience is maybe very different from their core. And so there's this tension.
Yeah.
There's tension between like, oh, is this an authentic
Yeah.
bridge or is it just weird?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I always think, maybe zooming out a little bit, I think if your work can tap into culture
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
way, I think that's when you've, like, really hit something.
Yeah.
When it resonates within culture, whether it's with, a celebrity or not a
Yeah.
celebrity, but if it
Yeah.
really taps into culture. So I think that, that's an important part of our work is really understanding what's happening around
Yeah.
us.
What's cool? How do you stay on trend?
Yeah, or yeah, how do you even understand like what the conversation is
Yeah.
within a community or our society at large, I think being aware of that and understanding that is a really important part
Mhm.
of whether something lands or doesn't land as a piece of
Yeah.
communication.
Totally. Something I was just doing this morning is better understanding what organic I call it organic product market fit, which is organic usage of some of our products. And so in addition to the research that we have and the data analytics, I was like, let me check out the Discord. What are people actually making with some of our products? And it's a great exercise, and it's something that I want to remind myself to do more often, just to stay in touch with the broader customer base,
Yeah.
see what's out there, and yeah, pop culture is something that resonates with me. I'm like, oh, this seems cool. Like what
Yeah.
this person made, like seems really cool. Like taste is subjective, etc. But I'm like, oh, this resonates more than some of these other things that seem a little flat, like seem a little bit boring. Like this thing feels more unique. Like let's go in the more in that direction to see like how for me I think about how to bring just the natural creativity um, from the creative community to life, like and figuring out how to highlight the right stories and the right folks to just um, let those stories
Yeah,
shape the brand.
yeah, for sure. I agree. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
approach. Interesting too, I bet,
Yeah.
what you find.
Yes. I mean, really funny. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's super fun. Like the other day, my team's gonna laugh, but so we have this program called the Creative Apprenticeship Program where we have recent art school grads who are starting their careers out, and we offer paid internships where they're placed with uh, different agencies, companies within a creative team, and there was a apprentice in this program who participated in a Adobe Firefly contest, and they made this little, like, short, like, I think it was like an Instagram reel or something
Mm.
about how you can my team's gonna laugh, how you can make your logo look like a piece of meat, and I for some reason, it just really spoke to me 'cause I watched it a couple times where it's like, "Okay, you can use Adobe Firefly to, like, put in this prompt uh, to make your logo look like a piece of meat, and then you can move that into Adobe Illustrator, and you can edit it in this way so it actually looks like a piece of meat." For some reason, it just made me so joyful.
Yeah. That
And
is
it's not something I see very often.
that's super random.
It's like super random.
That's awesome.
Okay, so Josh, after 20 years in the industry, how would you describe creativity today?
So I thought about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that quite a bit. I think, I think, creativity, I actually wrote this down
Mm.
because, on the way here, so I'm gonna read it. I think creativity is an act of rebellion,
Mm.
um, that goes against, default thinking, and
Mm.
it's powered by creativity and curiosity.
I love
That's
that.
kinda how I think about it.
I love that.
Yeah,
Especially rebellion. It feels so powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I really think that, when I think about creativity and, there's so many aspects of different disciplines that are creative.
Yep.
Even accounting,
Yep.
you have to come up with creative ways to solve different things, it's not a traditional way that we think about creativity, but it is creative thinking.
Yeah.
So, um, and sort of, when you're applying that type of thinking to systems that have been around for a while, it is sort of an act of rebellion,
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so that's how I sort of I that's how I think about it.
Yeah, I love that. The other day, my daughter came home from school and she's taking a class on design thinking, which is super neat.
Yeah.
Her homework was to problem, to pick a problem, talk with somebody to learn more about a health problem,
Mhm.
and to try to figure out how to solve it. And something she was really interested in doing is talking with someone who takes medicine regularly and helping them figure out how to more regularly take their medicine. So, prescription
Mhm.
adherence. As we're talking about, like, okay, you can talk with grandpa. There's you take medicine for cholesterol and and high blood pressure. And then she was like, "Do is the problem that he's forgetting
Mm.
or that he doesn't want to take it?" And I'm like, "Good
Great
question."
distinction.
Exactly. I'm like,
Yes.
"You are right." Like, these are
Yeah.
both problems. Like, there may be side effects, like
Yeah.
people yeah, and also some conditions people may forget.
Yeah.
And I think, creativity and design is so key to solving a range of problems, in the world because you're thinking creatively and you're understanding people in their environment and what surrounds them, and yeah, coming up with something that can help.
Yeah. I think it's just really interesting, because, one thing, I did a lecture in Seattle a couple of
Mm,
weeks ago, and
yeah.
one of the questions, from after was, in the Q&A was, um how do you think about design thinking?
Mhm.
And what came to mind to me was, on the, Obama campaign, we partnered with, our tech team to develop the donation tool
Cool,
for
cool.
donating online, and if you can remember back to 2011, the internet was
It
just
was early.
becoming a thing,
Yes.
um, and so and so being able to donate online was novel.
Mm.
And on that campaign, over half the money raised for the
Mhm.
campaign came through
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And it was really interesting that that came from design thinking, both from the
Yeah. Yeah.
technology side, and but also, design side
Mm.
of, and so that was like design thinking, this huge
Totally.
impact.
Totally, and the
You know?
combination of design and technology, I
Yes.
just think this is like a
It
special
was really,
diamond.
really, really interesting. A really interesting time. And, anyway, it's just one, like, at least within my career, it's just like one, note of
Yeah,
where design thinking
so
can
cool,
really change things,
so cool. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.